Alright, so somebody brought it to my attention that the 5th video I did about binding the skin was really janky and didn't record properly, so I'm remaking that. I will leave the other one after this as like video 5.5 or whatever, because there was, at the end, some interesting stuff about doing some constraints and stuff with the shoulders, so I will leave that there. If you guys are having issues with your constraints, I recommend taking that out. But, binding skin. So before we get started, you might notice this robot is like retextured. I did a thing and I went through and like retextured the entire thing, so it has delightful UVs that are all laid out very, very nicely. One texture for the entire body. It's gonna be awesome. Alright, so also before we start, just for grins, in case you weren't aware, if you have extra textures that aren't being used in your scene, you can go into your Hypershade and just do edit, delete, unused nodes. It'll clean all of that nonsense up. And yeah, I need to reassign some stuff. Later problems. Alright. So, 3 ways to bind skin. One, which is in my opinion the worst way, is to grab your skin and literally parent it under the joint in the outliner so that your geometry is constrained, or what am I saying? Don't parent things in the outliner. You shouldn't have geometry under your joints in your rig. It's a really gross way to work. It'll make things harder later, so just don't do that. The other 2 things that I usually do to constrain or to attach geometry, figure that out later, is constraining, and that works really nicely if you are using some kind of, hard model or something like that, like this. So what I'm going to do is I have this iris here. I would like this to follow the head. So I'm gonna throw it in a group so I still have control over it later. I'll do the same thing with this guy. And you want to, the same thing like you're setting up controllers, grab the head and then grab the group with your eye socket in it. Normally you could just constrain the geometry itself. I do want to be able to move these eyes later, so that's why I put them in the group, so I'm not actually attaching anything to the translation values of the iris itself. You should then be able to just go into constrain, and I'm going to do a parent constraint because I do want this to, follow the head. Definitely leave maintain offset on, especially for the eyeballs because it's nowhere near the joint. I'm just going to go ahead and apply that and do the same thing with the other eyeball. So constrain that, and now if we move our head control, you'll see that looks really terrifying actually, and the eyes just sort of go along with the body. That's what we want. So that's constraining geometry, totally viable. Don't do this if you need to do something like smooth skin binding where you have, like a human body that's like mushy, but for single pieces like this that aren't going to deform at all when you animate, totally works great. Other thing you can do is binding the skin. So those of you that I have in class, I did go over this in class, but basically you just go up to the skin tab under the rigging menu, bind skin, and open up the settings. So joint hierarchy is going to, if you have one joint selected, it's going to attach your skin to not only that joint, but all of the ones attached to it in the chain. So even though I only have the chest joint selected, it's also going to attach it to the legs, down the arms, up the head, all that good stuff. In this case, I just want selected joints, and I'm just going to leave max influences as 1. It doesn't really matter for this since I'm only selecting a single joint. And then turn off maintain max influences just because I have a personal vendetta against that setting. I really despise it. Anywho, so grab your skeleton, grab whatever meshes you want to attach. You can do multiples at once, and go ahead and hit apply. And at that point, you should have pretty much the same dealio as a constraint. So you can just sort of go ahead and keep doing that, basically. All the way down your skeleton. It's great fun. I should probably find the root control, so we have... Oh no! Okay, I think I bound something to the wrong something. Oh no, I didn't. Okay, cool. Yeah, when you have overlapping joints, definitely good to go in and actually look at things in your outliner as you're doing stuff. But this is really all that's involved with this. So I'm also going to do the zip ties at the same time, since they're there. And in this case, like, I have 2 pieces of geometry. I'm just going to do them both at the same time. And you'll notice that it works pretty much the same as it did before. I think I missed actually selecting the joint. So again, that's pretty much, you know, how you attach hard pieces onto your model. If you're interested in doing smooth skin binding, I would recommend just rewatching that video from class. Those of you that are my students, hello to anyone else that isn't and happens to be watching this. But yeah, so I'll just go through this really quick, and then at the end of the video, I am going to see if I can figure out, like, this hand has nice, the joints are centered in the joints. Wait, that was not descriptive at all. The joints are centered in where they should be, sort of in the model, and for some reason on this hand, they're very much offset, and I would like to figure out why that is happening. And actually, you know what, I might just sort of do that now. It's just like as you're doing this, just pay attention to where you're actually binding things. Every once in a while, I sort of forget what exactly I'm trying to attach where, and it's just like very annoying to have to go back and unbind your skin. And I'm just actually going to do pretty much all the stuff on the head at the same time. So I'll grab this, and then I'll just grab the head joint, and this should constrain all of the nonsense that I just selected directly to the head. And when I say constrain, I do mean bind skin, not actually constraining. I'm just being an idiot right now and forgot how to use words. It's been a long day. I just spent the last like 4 hours reviewing this, which was not in my plan of things to do, and yeah. Anywho. So I'm gonna go in. I have later things, but I have like my IK, FK switch and stuff set up, and I did notice that for some reason there are rotation values on this joint for no apparent reason. Yes, this is the arm where I made that weird fake switch for. Which is, oh, that's funny. I was too lazy to reset up the nice switch, so I apparently just went through and keyed this value. Wow. Quality laziness there. Alright, so I think what I'm actually going to do is just go through and actually delete, or not delete, but I'm going to go find this joint, find the parent constraint for it. Great, I'm going to have to set up keys, that's annoying. Actually, let me just see what happens if I just zero that out. Ugh. Okay, maybe if I get very, very lucky, it'll just sort of let me move the constraints without dealing with the rotation values. Let's see what happens. What did I set this to? Nope, okay. Yeah, so I will need to delete that constraint. You can move it, but you just can't, like anytime you pretty much scrub through the time slider or like move anything else, it's gonna snap back. So I do need to grab this stupid parent constraint, kill it, and then zero this out. You will also notice it's moving the finger controls with it. Those are in the correct spot, and I just attached those in with a parent constraint. So I'm going to delete that parent constraint, add that back in later, and then just grab this. So this is actually probably going a little bit ahead in the videos. I have no idea what I'm doing at this point in terms of order. Order is dead to me. Why have I parent constrained that twice? Questionable. Alright, so hopefully I've unhooked everything. I should be good to just zero that out. I'll double check. Okay, I'm gonna go through then. That sucks. Alright. Gotta unconstrain all this. Mirror. Alright, and then I should be good to go through, zero that out. I will do the ones on the end for grins. This one also needs to be zeroed out. Great. So I don't know, like, I don't know why that happened. I think I actually fixed it at some other point in time. I just, like, this is a version previous of that file where I actually fixed it. So, basically, I'm just going to go through rehooking up the hand, and that I think I will save for another video. I'll probably put that at the end of the series, because I do want to show you an extra little thing that you can do with these finger controls to make controlling your fingers slightly easier. So that is the UV video thing that is not UVs at all. That's hooking up the skin. Yeah, I'll be back.